Condor Online under the Murder in Midnight Hour. We have a new series called Locked In, Claustrophobic Tales by Matt Shiel. This episode is about witchcraft called Safety in the Shadows. And it begins. Interior, a dark, dank cellar. The room is filled with bales of hay and some movement in the shadows. A loud clink of keys and the turning of a lock, and a creaking door opens, throwing light onto the room. The movement reveals two women who move away from the light, one in the safety of the shadows. The two women are dressed in the peasant garb of 17th century women. Their faces are dirty, and the light hurts their eyes. In the doorway is a soldier holding a lamp in one hand, and a young woman in the other. Her name is Dorcas, just out of her teens. She is crying. The soldier throws her onto the ground and closes the door on them, plunging them back into darkness. The girl continues to weep on the dirt floor. Slowly, she gathers herself and is aware of breathing in the corner. She feels fear, and her crying stops as she senses danger.
Who is there?
Her body tensing up. Slowly, the figures of two women emerge from the gloom. They are Elizabeth and Susanna. Elizabeth is a flame-haired young woman. She is very angry at being held in a cell. She is also claustrophobic.
Who are you? Why are you keeping us here? We've done nothing wrong!
Susanna is the other woman, elderly and well-to-do. She is a fish out of water, but knows that she can deal with the absurdities that 17th century life throws up.
Hush, Elizabeth. Isn't it obvious this poor wretch is in the same predicament as us? She too has been accused as a witch.
I'm no witch.
None of us are, child. We are here at the whim of the fools out there.
How can you be so calm, Susanna? We are going to swing from the branches of trees before you know it. We have no hope of getting out of here.
Elizabeth breaks down crying. Susanna sweeps past her, ignoring her cries. Dorcas is surprised by her lack of empathy.
Oh, don't worry about her. She's been crying for days. At first, I was happy of the company in this dismal place. But even so, sometimes I think death would be a welcome break. What is your name, child?
It's Dorcas. I'm wife to Jonathan, the builder.
A builder? And where is he?
Heaven. Or at least I pray it is so.
Elizabeth stops crying on hearing this. She comes over.
Did you kill him?
Hush, Elizabeth. Go on, my child.
I was 16 years old last summer. My father agreed that I could marry my wedded lover, Jonathan. I'd known him all my life. He was strong and dark and 3 years older than I. Jonathan was a horseman and builder. He worked with his father to mend the bridges and roads after the great storms of 2 years past. He was a good husband and provided for me. Our home was built by his grandfather, and Jonathan had plans to build a grander place for us. Just before All Saints' Day last year, Jonathan was working on a bridge just beyond Broken Tree Hill.
I know the place.
Hush.
He was making sure the farmers east of there could get to the market day safely. I was told by his father that he was holding the keystone on his shoulders as a brace to allow the bridge to stand when he had a fit and fell into the stream. The keystone fell and broke his left leg. They say 2 men were needed to lift the stone off him.
Terrible.
Jonathan was under the stream for moments, but his lungs were filled with water. His father said that he thumped his chest to bring the water out.
And then what happened?
A miracle. My husband gasped and his lungs were filled with God's air. He had no recollection of the fit his father described, but he was in great pain. The building party returned him to the town where his leg was braced, and he was brought home to me to care for him. Both his father and mother visited every day, and his sister twice. Slowly, Jonathan seemed to get better each day, but on the Sabbath, the priest, Mr. Jacobs, he visited and Jonathan's mood turned sour. He was not himself and insulted the priest constantly. There was great commotion, and Jonathan said things said only between man and wife. Mr. Jacobs fled our home, and as I tried to calm Jonathan, his sister arrived, and shortly afterwards, we had always been on friendly terms, but now, on seeing Jonathan, her demeanour was most troubling. She seemed to blame me for things rather than help poor Jonathan. But there was nothing I could do. Later that night, Jonathan died in my arms. His sister returned shortly after with Mr. Jacobs. Seeing her brother dead, she accused me of killing Jonathan with witchcraft. Mr. Jacobs dragged her away while I mourned my husband. As dawn came up the next day, I saw the men come into the hill to my home. They dragged me away, and as they went into my home, I didn't see my Jonathan again. They held me at the magistrate's office, and I was beaten and stripped. I was accused of being a witch. Only my Jonathan had seen me naked, and they insisted I had marks of witchcraft on me. Marks I had since I was born. Marks only Jonathan had seen, and they meant nothing. I was offered the opportunity to be accompanied to the church to attend my husband's funeral. I refused. To do so would say that the people that agreed with the treatment I found with these men, I didn't believe that they'd let me. I thought it was a trick. The day after his funeral, I was formally accused of being a witch and scared of entering a house of God. I told them I attended every Sunday, but they wouldn't listen. I was left for 4 days without food or water. They brought me before the magistrate, and my Jonathan's sister stood up and stated I was a witch and had murdered my husband. She said that she'd seen me at night on the moors speaking to foxes and hares, speaking words she didn't understand. She claimed I put a spell on my Jonathan to make him love me, and that I had become bored with him and decided that he would die so I could have another lover.
Dear Lord.
And what sentence did you receive?
Well, I denied all charges, and no evidence was presented but the autopsy report, stating that Jonathan had died from a brain malady, the coroner reported. I wasn't allowed to speak, and I was condemned to hang from the tree outside the courthouse. Then I was brought here.
The tree you speak of is outside this room. If you clamber upon these boxes, you can see it from the uppermost window. It is a strong tree, and will hold all three of us if they choose that fate.
You've been accused of witchcraft too?
We all have. We are all victims here. The whole county has gone mad. They see witches everywhere. Stories have been circling for weeks, each one more bizarre than the next. First it was rabbits walking backwards, then it was people flying in the shape of clouds. Mr. Dinsdale said he saw the stream run backwards on a saint's day. The woman at the wash house became hysterical as stories were shared, and those who were absent were accused of the oddest things. All of us made sure to attend each week, for to miss 1 week we would be named and the shame cast on us. But I was unable, as it was my time. I was faint and the pain unbearable. Martha English was my accuser. I've often suspected that she had eyes for my husband. I had told him many times this, but he dismissed such talk. Yet at every mass I would see her casual glances in his direction. At the May Day festival, she blatantly made a pass at him, and he rebuffed her publicly. The scandal was talked about for weeks. She insisted he was mistaken and accused him of acting inappropriately for a married man. But many vouched for him, and Martha was ostracised until the autumn festival. I thought nothing of it from then on. But as winter came, and the rumours of witches in the area rose greater and greater, Martha stated that it was I who put a spell on her to fall in love with my husband. She said she had confessed all to Mr. Jacobs. She said that the Lord had forgiven her, but that she should warn all to keep their husbands safe from me. Overnight I had gone from the wronged woman to a harlot and a strumpet. By the time this talk had reached my ears, the poison was too deep. Martha was seen as a credible victim, and the men were too willing to believe her lies. I was accused and subjected to shameful things by men. My husband believed them over me. He believed that I had made spells, that I had spoken incantations against the people of the village. With no one to support me, I had no option but to agree to the coroner's accusations. I was placed here first and have stayed since. I plead the belly, but to no avail. My fate is sealed. Oh, if I could curse Martha English, I would do so here and now. For I have nothing left in this world, and I hope I receive the forgiveness of these acts in the next.
Hush, child. You get too angry too quickly. We are all trapped in this room, yes, but not all hope is gone. We should consider the gifts we have and seek solace in our predicament, or use our gifts to avoid the hangman's halter.
How can we escape our fate?
Susanna thinks that there is still hope.
But how?
I will tell you my story. I was like you. Many years ago now, but I was. A young girl full of dreams, and I too fell in love. Ishmael was his name. He loved me from the first moment he saw me. It took some persuading, but his persistence bore fruit, and we were married. It was his persistence that impressed me all those years ago, and he knew what he wanted in life. We went on a journey together, and we had each other's support. Ishmael did really well in dry goods. He prospered and eventually was elected to the town's council. But to do well these days attracts scorn and resentment in some folk. But Ishmael took no heed. He was a stubborn man, but he knew what was right and what was wrong, and he wouldn't move an inch from his position. He worked hard at everything he did, and he did many things in his time, and those enemies grew. It was my role as wife to watch for those enemies. I could see the bigger picture, and I advised my husband on what we needed to do. We worked together and we achieved great things. The bridges your husband repaired were originally built by men who worked for my Ishmael. Trade flourished and more people came to the towns. More people meant more problems, and Ishmael helped to keep the peace. We were never blessed with children, and so our world became his career, and his career, our world. Then one day, he had a stroke and was confined to bed. He was helpless and my heart broke. But it also brought me something that I never realised I had. He was like a newborn child. I did everything for him, and as the stresses of his work were gone, he seemed so much younger. My life had taken on a new purpose, a fulfilling one, nurturing the man I had nurtured all those years ago. I thought that this would be our life until our time in this land was done. But in looking after my husband, it meant that I was no longer looking out for our enemies. Thinking that my husband was no longer involved in local politics, that others would reap the benefit and we could live our lazy years in peace. But no, this was not meant for people such as ourselves. While my husband worked in the early years, I learned the art of healing, and I was quite good too. Like all things skilled, it takes time, patience and practice. But there are also some things that are beyond the skills of us all. People will come from far and wide to seek out those of us who are learned, but we cannot hold back the inevitable sands of time. Most accepted that think these things as true, and some would not accept the true nature of things. That path leads to disappointment, delusionment, and then despair. For some, there is no cure I can give. The person must heal themselves with reality before they leave in a wooden box.
I also did some healing. That was welcomed in my family. My father insisted that we keep it secret, as jealousy would bring torment to his door. He would only let me see certain people, and I would never disobey my father. I also did what I could. As I grew older, my father asked more and more from me, but my skills were not good enough, and he beat me if I was unable to heal the strangers he brought to me. When I was 16, I seemed to lose what skills I had, and less people visited. my father grew angry and was glad when Jonathan asked for my hand. I was happy too, not just to be with Jonathan, but to be free of my father who had turned evil with greed and gluttony. He did not visit me after my marriage, and I've not seen him, nor any member of my kin since my wedding day.
We are all healers. I would lay my hands on the poor folk and could heal the pains of women with herbs and poultices. Also for horses I was known for. I did not seek out people, but word of mouth travels faster than crows at harvest time.
I feel that this is a test of our faith, and that the Lord will test us once more before we are redeemed on this earth.
Oh, dear child, you are clutching at such straws. The Lord will not save you or I. We must use our guile to plead our case.
But our case is heard and done with. Sentence is passed, and we have no further recourse on this earth.
Well, you should start praying to your Saviour, and I will start working for my salvation.
You have not said who accused you of witchcraft.
My story is similar to your own. My husband's enemies did not come for him. They came for me. By removing me, they left him at their mercy. I could weep knowing that he is there needing me and no one to speak for him. I fear if I am not removed from this offending place soon, I shall have nothing left to return to, not even a husband.
How do you think we shall prevail?
We must not be forgotten. We must stir the mob to our side and break this madness that has taken hold. There are no witches anymore. There is no need for the craft in our homes and our hearths. But to some accusation is all that is needed to prevail in this world. I do not believe that those who condemn us will allow it. They will come to their senses before it is too late, and I will exact the true justice that is false now. We have been stripped of our dignity, and after the rope, we will be stripped of our names and forgotten. Unspoken names lying on a list unread for years to come. Is that the role of women today?
I can hear the crowds gathering. They seek to see us swing.
The sound of cheering can be heard in the distance. Someone is whipping the crowd into a frenzy. Dorcas is getting nervous, trying the door and looking through gaps in the door to see what is happening. Elizabeth is panicking again, hyperventilating. Susanna sits still, knowing that their time has run out.
We are all, in the end, naked on a list somewhere. Written on paper on the executioner's list or engraved in stone on our graves. This is all that tells the world that for the briefest moment we existed, and then forevermore be silent. Well, I shall not go out a whimpered damsel, frozen in the fear to the mob. I shall declare to the world and to God what crimes were committed in his name. No curse I will give will be as strong as those on Judgment Day, who will be held to account by our Lord and found wanting. The devil is inside every one of us. It is the love of the Lord to keep it at bay. The men are weak and easily fooled by the women who claim piety with a cruel twist. They know what they do and fool the men of power. Power! Power is held only by those that derive it from the people. To fool the people is to steal the power from them. Place not your faith in mortal kings. They are just as weak and valuable as the woodcutter's son. It is the mob we should fear, for they hold the true power. But they always fail to hold on to it. The power slips through their hands like the grains of sand upon a beach, and when they realize they have nothing left, they meekly kneel again. Power makes cowards of us all. No true man alive deserves the strength of the mob. No man possesses the power of life and death of another, and with no man standing, the cowardly take the reins and hold the mob at bay. Keeping the king's peace is more important than the liberty of man. We are all crows, frightened of a scarecrow we know will be fake. We know it and we still fear it. That's why we hang today. We are the meek, and we inherit the fears of the mob. We will swing for the crows, picking our flesh until there is no more. Nothing but our names on a piece of paper in the hands of cowards who hold back the mob.
The crowd is huge. I've never seen so many people in one place. I'm scared.
If we are to do something, it is now.
I think we are out of time.
All your talk of doing something. You are as weak as that mob you talk of. We are all alone in the end. Well, I will not go meekly.
Dorcas starts scrambling through the bric-a-brac in the room. Elizabeth slides down to the feet of Susanna. Susanna stares ahead and puts her hand on Elizabeth's head.
Hush, child. Do you want them to hear your cries of despair? All we can do now is face our last moments with our head held high. We are not guilty of anything, and we will not hide our faces in shame.
But we will still hang.
We will, child. We will. But we will also enter paradise.
Paradise be damned. I will not leave here as food for the crows.
Child, do not damn the paradise that we are destined for.
But what if I am a witch? Maybe I did kill my husband.
What are you saying? You were guilty.
Interesting. You claim to be a witch?
Of course not. But we are all going to swing. There is one way to escape. Susanna, you said it yourself.
I have thought it through, and I see no escape.
I see one chance for us.
How?
Susanna said it herself, but didn't realise. The mob has the power, not the people in charge.
Go on.
The mob wants a show. The magistrate has to give them one, or he will lose control. Keeping the king's peace is more important than the liberty of men.
I don't understand.
A witch will hang today. One of us admits to putting a spell on the other two and admits to the crimes we are all accused of.
But that would be a lie.
It would be a lie for one, but the truth for the other two. The truth will set us free.
But who shall swing to free the other two?
I cannot do this.
Elizabeth is too weak to convince the magistrate. It is either you or I, Dorcas.
Agreed. But we don't have much time.
Footsteps are heard and the jingle of keys.
We need to choose now.
I'm listening.
It must be you. You are old and may not last another winter. Both Elizabeth and I are young and have many years left.
Ah, child, this is true. But still, I do not want to die.
But if you do not, then you will die along with us.
Ah, but why not you? Your family disowns you. Your husband's family do not want you. I have a husband and strong friendships.
Where are your friends now? Where are your husband's powerful friends? You said it yourself. Power is imaginary. They do not help you. And it won't help you now. Save our souls. We will care for your husband. We swear it on our lives.
Yes, we will.
Susanna looks at them both. The keys turn in the lock and 3 soldiers enter. It is time. Stand and we will bind your hands. It will be over quickly. Pray that the Lord saves your soul, for your life on this earth is at an end.
Quickly, it is now or never more.
Soldier, I wish to make my confession to the magistrate.
Too late for that. Your sentence has been made. You swing this night.
Soldier, I have other crimes to confess to. Tell the magistrate now.
The soldier hesitates and looks at his colleagues. He nods and leaves Dorcas and Elizabeth behind. He pulls Susanna to the doorway.
Do not forget what I have done.
I will pray for your soul.
I will take care of your husband.
The door slams and the key is turned. All becomes silent. Dorcas and Elizabeth looks at each other.
Quick, there is little time. We must untie ourselves.
But why? With Susanna's confession, we will be freed.
I do not believe in this. Susanna has only bought us time to free ourselves.
No, Susanna will be true to her word.
She will, but will it be enough?
The key in the door turns once more, and it is the soldier again. Both women look at him.
I have delivered your friend to the magistrate, Now I'm here to deliver you to your sentence. Start praying to our Lord for forgiveness before sentence is carried out.
No, wait. We are innocent. It's Susanna who's the witch, not us.
It's true. We were bewitched by Susanna. Now she is to die. Their spell is broken.
Unhand me. Leave me alone.
The sounds of the struggle continue, and then the door is slammed and the key is turned. We hear only the sound of the crowd in the background. It grows louder, then a hush. A lone voice reads out the sentence, and then a bang. A chair rises up from the crowd. As we slowly move down the hallway, we are revealed. Susanna in the shadow smiles. Fade to silence.
So she actually is a witch?
All right, brother. You have been listening to Locked In. On Hero Condor Online. Safety in the shadows. Today's actresses are
Reyna Gaia was Susanna.
Sarah Jones as Elizabeth.
And Leah Wallace as Dorcas.
Thank you for listening to Condor Online.